line. Bad bitches, every city in my tribe. Look behind. Booty dominate.
Hey there, how's it going?
JW, I'll add you next. Good, how are you?
I'm good, I'm good. Yeah, I
Good.
guess I was I guess I disagree that trans women are women. And I can tell you why. I just don't think same thing with trans men are men. If you, no matter how you define, obviously I agree that like language is a social construct, blah blah blah. But so you could have different senses of the word, of really any word. But I think that no matter how you define the word woman, it does not logically follow that all trans women are women. And we could go down each definition of how people usually define woman. But yeah, I just wanted to hear your
I
thoughts
don't
on that.
think that's necessary. I don't think we have to come up with like a definition that is so black and white that it meets kind of your rigid standard, because I don't think you do that with a lot of other words.
Well, yeah, we do for like politically relevant terms, especially. But I think most words have necessary and sufficient conditions. I don't know what wouldn't be. What word wouldn't have that?
Sure. So would you say that women are feminine?
Not necessarily, but sometimes, yeah.
Okay. What is femininity?
Femininity is the traits associated with females in a society.
Well, the definition is girls and women, right?
No, I don't think that's if you look at femininity, it doesn't say girls and women. I think it'd be the traits
It
associated
does.
with females, right?
Well, it doesn't say female, it says girls and women.
Oh, girls and women. Okay, so I see what you're saying. Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
but you
traits
just
associated with
said
girls and
that
women.
not all girls and women are feminine. So
Right,
wouldn't
that's why
that
it's
be an
associated.
incorrect definition?
No, because the word associated doesn't necessarily mean all women are feminine, right?
Well,
Associated
but it
means
does,
maybe
because it says it's
typically
attributes prescribed to women and girls.
attributes prescribed. Okay, it could
Or
be
maybe not
prescribed, but that
prescribed.
well, no, you could say prescribed, but that doesn't necessarily mean every single woman is feminine, right? It just means
But
that it's
that's what the word
prescribed to women.
means. It says qualities or
Yeah,
attribute regarded as characteristics of women and girls. So in order to be a
characters.
woman
Wait,
or girl, you would have to have these characteristics, right? And if you don't have
uh,
these characteristics, then wouldn't you not be a woman or girl?
not necessarily. I don't think that's true. I
But
think
that's
when you
what
say
the definition
characteristics,
says.
hold on. When you say characteristics, that usually means like attributes or elements. It doesn't. I don't know where you're getting this idea that to be a woman you have to fulfill every characteristic of femininity. In fact, isn't that what like the last 100 years of feminism fought against? Or
Great. So what is your definition of a
right,
woman?
right, adult human female, right?
Right. So, but you're saying you don't have to meet all qualifications
Of
of
femininity.
femininity to be a woman.
No.
Why would you have to meet all qualifications of being female to be a woman?
Well, that's what we call women. That's the common usage of the word. And that is like what we've decided the word to take the place of the adult human of one sex. We could say it's a biggleborp, and like there's biggleborps and wiggleworps, and those are the two adult human genders. But no matter what word you
So,
use, that's like a word that's
well, what
utilized to
characteristics of
denote
being
the adult.
female, what female characteristics do you have to be a woman?
Yeah, so what is a female kind of? In humans, it is the lack of expression of an SRY gene, but across all species, it would be um, just denoting the expression of producing female gametes, which are the larger gametes, as opposed to smaller gametes, which would be males, right?
Well, no, because there are women who are born without
Of course,
gametes.
that's
There are
why
people
it
that are
denote,
born without
right?
gametes.
That's why in all biological definitions, they use like a teleological approach. So that means that that's why they say denoting. In some textbooks, they'll say denoting. Even if they don't say denoting, that word denoting means that you don't necessarily have to. It's just that you have the function to. Like when healthy, you are producing, or like, a healthy body is designed or evolved to produce this or function this way,
Well, I mean, a
right?
healthy body doesn't have to have gametes.
I think when they healthy body, that means how the body has even. I don't think humans have evolved to reproduce without what's the word anisogamy. So we're an anisogamous species. The way we reproduce is via gametes, right? So I don't think and under a biological view, it's not a technically healthy, functioning, fully functioning body without reproductive capabilities.
I mean, it is a fully functioning body. They're like,
Obviously not. Doesn't have the full
metabolism,
function, right?
digestion occurs. A lot of people
I
don't
mean, you
use
could read
reproduction.
you could read any biological paper, and that is like a defining factor of what it even means to be a human: the ability to reproduce with other humans and have, I mean,
So if
any
you
sexually
can't
reproducing
reproduce, you're
species,
not a
right?
human.
No, no, no. That's exactly what I mean. So again, whenever biologists use a defining feature, it is of the function to produce. Like if everything is healthy and there are no I don't know, like injuries or disabilities or diseases that prevent the malformation of certain organs or functions of the body, right? That's just any biological
So
paper.
wait. So if you are saying the
Right.
criteria to be female is that you have to have gametes, how do you
I didn't say
classify
that.
people who do not? You did say that.
No, no, that's okay. So again, I'll say it one more. So denoting the ability. So if people, let's say you get too old, you don't produce any more eggs, right?
Mhm.
That is still of the function to produce eggs.
But
Your
you
body is
have
still
the
of the
eggs.
function.
You
I'm
have
sorry.
the eggs. You still have the eggs.
Sure, sure. Or even if you were born without any eggs, you are of the function. If you're a female, you are of the function to produce those eggs.
So how do we like measure that? Like how do we know?
Yeah, yeah. For sure. So in it gets sometimes a little bit ambiguous in like intersex cases. Obviously, most of the time, most women, like 99.9% of women, have uteruses and reproductive organs of just the female, just female reproductive organs. Sometimes in intersex cases, there could be some male tissue. But in humans, we look at the SRY gene, and if the SRY gene is expressed, that is a male. Or if there's some variation on Y-linked abnormality that is also expressed, that'd be a male. In females, there's a lack of any sort of SRY gene, right?
I see. So
Yeah.
I'm sure you're familiar with Swyer syndrome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Would you say someone with Swyer syndrome is male or female?
If they do not have any sort of SRY activation, they would not be a male. They would be female.
So someone with Swyer syndrome is female?
Yes, I believe these people do not have any SRY gene expression, I believe. So I believe they're female.
Okay. Can two females reproduce?
Um, if in what do you call it, true hermaphroditic species, if they carry both the sperm and eggs, there are some species that are both male and female simultaneously, and
I'm
then
talking
technically
humans.
yes, humans,
Okay.
no two females can
So
reproduce.
there is an intersex couple on here,
Okay,
where it has Swyer syndrome,
sure.
and her wife is biologically female, and she
Well,
has
what does that mean?
impregnated her wife at least four
Uh,
times.
right. So that I think I disagree with your characterization of her being a female. If she's able to impregnate somebody, that means that person has sperm, functioning sperm even, and that definitely
But
means they are
they
not
have
female. That means
Swyer
they're male.
syndrome. You said that someone with
Oh,
Swyer
oh, sorry.
syndrome is a female.
Then I might be confused. Right. Then I might be. So this person with Swyer syndrome has functioning sperm,
I guess
or is
so.
it the other person?
I
I
no.
thought it was
The
the
other
other
person
person
is
who didn't have Swyer.
biologically female, and the person with Swyer
That's what I'm
syndrome.
disagreeing on.
But
Right.
you
So is
just
the
said
other person
someone
who?
with Swyer syndrome is female, which I agree
Okay.
with.
So who? I'm sorry. Sorry. Who impregnated who? I'm sorry. Just let me get this straight.
The person with Swyer syndrome impregnated the biological female.
Oh, okay. Then I might be wrong. The Swyer syndrome patients might not have. They might have actually a Y-linked expression on the SRY gene, so they might actually be male. I'd have to look it up.
They don't.
They don't have any. Then there's no way that
Correct.
you know
That's
how
why
you
I
produce
asked you
sperm. Wait,
people
wait,
with
wait. Hold on.
Swyer
You know how you
syndrome.
produce
Yeah.
sperm? Do you know how humans produce sperm or how they develop to produce sperm? The only way possible is if there's some sort of SRY linked expression on that gene.
Well, they have
There's
the
no other way.
chromosome, but again, like you've
Right.
acknowledged, they have Swyer syndrome, which means that that SRY gene
Okay.
did not express on the Y chromosome. It went to
There
the
must have,
X.
even if the SRY gene, the Y didn't necessarily express itself. There has to be some sort of Y-linked abnormality that also gets expressed. So it's either SRY gene gets expressed or some
Oh, are you
Y-linked
under
Y
18?
chromosome. Yes, I'm 23. Yeah.
I asked if
I know
you're under
Dimi-
18.
yeah, no, I'm not. Dimitri's lying.
Okay. Um,
Yeah, born in 2000. So
well, because you were right when you classified them as female, someone with Swyer
I don't think so
syndrome.
then. I mean, I might have gotten confused. If the person has a Y expression on the SRY gene, they are not female. That person is not that
Well,
person
they
is
didn't
indeed
have.
male.
They have Swyer syndrome, so by definition, they did not.
Oh, some no. Oh,
Um,
actually, some
from
Swyer
my
syndrome patients. No,
understanding,
that's
they
not
they
true.
are like kind of a medical anomaly, but it's because uh, I mean, I don't know if it's appropriate for me to tell their story since they're not here,
Sure.
but I think they went through male puberty.
Okay. So, yeah, I might be wrong. Swyer syndrome patients or people actually have they might actually have an SRY gene, and I think the only males that I'm aware of with that don't have an
Right, but
actual
it
Y
didn't
expression on the SR. I'm sorry.
express.
Sorry. So they do have an SRY expression, so they would be male,
No, it
even
did
still.
not express.
Oh, I'm pretty sure most Y patients do, and if they don't, it's still a Y-linked chromosome that gets expressed. So that's still technically male, at least in humans.
No, people with Swyer syndrome are classified as female.
Phenotypically, because people use female and male in different ways. So is that phenotypically
Right.
female or genetically male, or what does that mean?
Yeah, it says female phenotype and female external genital organs. So yes, they are
Okay.
classified as female.
Genetically though, you said female phenotype. What's the genotype?
I mean they're XY, but
Oh,
your
no, no, no,
definition was
no.
just that there's no expression of or there's an expression of the SRY gene. And
Therefore,
in
they are
that
male.
instance, the SRY gene did not express, which is why they developed female
Okay,
phenotypically.
so then there is an abnormality. There's a Y-linked abnormality that does get expressed. As long as it's some Y-linked chromosome that gets expressed, it doesn't necessarily have to be the Y on the SRY gene that gets expressed. It could be Y-linked, and that also gets expressed. A different kind of protein that gets expressed, and that would also make that person male. Especially if they're just producing a sperm, that just makes them male as well.
No, the only reason they produce sperm is because they went through male puberty and were given
Okay,
testosterone.
so that by
Because if they
definition makes
would
them
have been
male.
given estrogen, I mean, because they were told they actually couldn't have children.
Sure, sure. Then the
And
doctor
this
was
is
probably
kind of okay. It says in your bio that your parents run your account.
yeah. I'm 23. I was born in 2000. It's a joke. And
So I think we've acknowledged that even when it comes to like you said there is ambiguity when deciding like female and male when it
very
comes
rarely.
to determining sex. Well,
Yeah,
trans people are very rare. Like
no,
we're already talking about the
no.
rarities.
Hold on.
And
Trans people
so
have
while
nothing to
we
do with
might,
intersex. Hold on. First of all, second of all,
well,
when I say ambiguity, I mean you can't just look at external genitalia. You'll have to look at the internal genitalia. That's what I mean by ambiguity.
that's
But
I
it's
mean,
very
but that's not how we like gender
It
babies,
doesn't
right?
matter that when I'm talking about my definition, you claim that my definition was not cogent. It didn't apply to everybody. It does. Even if you have to look at the internal genitalia, it still applies to everybody. Everybody fits neatly under my definition, and not just
Well,
mine.
no,
This is
obviously not,
absolutely all of
because
biology
obviously
study.
someone with Swyer syndrome did not fit into it. And then you can go, well, to
They
it's a
did.
rarity. And I don't
No, they
think
did.
like if we're gonna,
Here's the thing.
I don't want to get too much like into the biology because that's not
Sure.
my main argument. I
Okay.
don't think that people have to meet biological criteria to fit within a social categorization.
Okay. I don't think it's socially.
Just
It
like when
wasn't
we talk
socially.
about, I'm sorry?
It wasn't socially I mean, in the past, it may have had
It
social
absolutely
baggage on
is.
it. Well, hold on. So in the past, they might have added social prescriptions on what it means to be man and woman. But under like what our modern definition is of what it means to be an adult human male, there is no social prescription with that. Maybe some
Well, we're
people will
not
try it.
talking about
Wait.
male
Some people,
though. We're talking about man and woman.
right. My definition
Um,
has no social prescriptions attached to it, what it means to be a man or a woman, just biological.
well, but I think that is limiting because I would
Why?
argue that why do you need different words then?
uh, for reproductive purposes, for I don't know, we're a sexually
No, I
reproducing
mean
species,
why do you need
right?
male and men?
Well, male means male is any species. That just means any species that denotes the
Oh, so you're
ability
doing the
to.
zombie definition. Do you know zombie? Because these seem like zombies arguments.
Yeah, Sambi, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So do you wear dresses?
I do not.
Why not?
but it has nothing to do with my argument. Why not? Because I
Yeah.
do not like the way they look.
Why not?
I don't know. Something about it just aesthetically does not please me.
What about it?
What about, I guess, the shape, you could say.
What specifically the shape?
The shape of the dress on my body, right?
Well, what about it? I mean, like if we just cut a slit in the middle
No,
and then
this
sewed it
is,
together, that would. Do you wear a jumper?
oh, that changed the shape, you mean? When you cut the
Yeah.
slit and sew it
Do
together?
you wear
Yeah,
a
that's
jumper?
so a jumper.
Yeah.
Is that like a onesie, basically?
I mean, not really, but sure.
Do I wear onesies or I don't know what a jumper necessarily is, but onesies,
A
no, I don't.
jumper is where a pants and a top are essentially together.
Oh, okay. I've worn overalls like once or twice, maybe.
But or like a romper or a jumper.
Oh, no. Yeah, no.
Why not?
Probably because they it just does isn't aesthetically pleasing to me.
Why not?
Um, I don't know. It's a very like what do you call it? Just a intrinsic thing. When I look at it on my body, it probably just doesn't look aesthetically pleasing. Just like why I wouldn't have blue hair or
Why
want to
doesn't
shave
it
my
look
head.
aesthetically pleasing to you?
Well, I just for the same reason that I don't want to dye my hair blue, electric blue, or shave my head, or I don't know, paint my skin like blue or something like that. You know, it doesn't aesthetically look pleasing
I
to me.
think there's an obvious answer here. Do you think a lot of men wear dresses?
It could be that they don't want to be perceived as feminine. That's maybe some other
Right.
people.
So
Yeah,
yeah, do you think that there would be men who would experience discomfort wearing a dress?
there could be. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So then I think we can see that gender is just beyond biology.
No, well, if you want
Because,
to call it gender, sure. Okay.
yeah, well, men and women are gender, are they not?
Yeah, I don't think there's really good evidence, scientific evidence for that backs modern gender theory. So I'd say I believe that sex and gender are the same, but I understand and some people define gender to include like social prescriptions and traits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So under that prescription, if we were to define gender under that, would trans women be women?
No, still no.
Why not?
So, well, what would be a woman then?
Essentially, whatever someone socially constructs to match as a woman. I think like we talked about with femininity.
Okay, so
When is a
are
woman
there are
feminine?
yeah, yeah, so are butch lesbians not women? They aren't under your definition. That's why I think the
Well, sure
problem
they
is
are, because there are different attributes of femininity, which I would include
okay,
psychology, or I would even
feminine
include,
psychology.
yeah, like their psychology.
Yeah, what do you
You
mean
know,
by
the
that?
relationship between their body and their brain and the way they experience the world.
Yeah, all women have the same psychology is what you're saying, or same trait of psychology? And
Similar,
if
yeah.
so, what is it? What is that?
Well, I think to go into like the human psyche, is very
Yeah, what
complex and nuanced. I just because what like sexuality is a part of your psychology. What determines someone's sexuality?
okay, okay. So what is the one trait that all women share psychologically? Please tell me.
That it's a woman's psychology. Like I
Yeah,
can't
what is
tell
that?
you what that is because it's all individual.
Because
It's like
it's not backed by
asking.
evidence. There is none. There's no one trait that all
Well,
women share
just
psychologically that men
because
don't
we
as well.
don't know, and again, I don't think I have to share, I don't have to find a common trait because
You
I don't
do.
think you
You're
can give me a trait of femininity that all women have.
right. That's why I don't define women based on femininity. That's why I define it
But you
biologically.
recognize that femininity, you accept that definition, that femininity are characteristics and attributes prescribed to girls
Associated.
and women. You
Prescribed doesn't
accept that
right.
definition,
Just
but
because
you
it's
don't
prescribed
accept other
doesn't
definitions of women, which means that you have this higher standard for
no.
this definition, but not for other words.
Just because you say something's prescribed to somebody doesn't mean that that person has to fulfill that prescription to be something. That's not what. Do you know what necessary and sufficient conditions are? Like just because you prescribe somebody, like in the 1960s, you weren't allowed to cut your
Well,
hair
how
as
do
a
we
woman.
know what
Let's say.
femininity is?
I'm sorry. Femininity would
How do
be
we know what
the
femininity is? How do
yeah
we
the
know what
society.
masculinity is?
Yeah, it's very fluid. It's ever changing, but it's probably based on the society, right? But that's why I don't define people.
Right. That's why I would say is the same with gender. It can be very fluid. It changes throughout
Right.
time. How men
Okay.
and women
So let's
presented
just
themselves, how they experienced life
yeah.
has been very different based on each society and each time period that you're in.
Okay, so you just said a woman is somebody who is feminine. To be a woman, you fulfill the gender constructs associated with femininity. That's what you just said, right? I'm
Well,
not putting
I'm
words in your
trying
mouth.
to show you that there are similarity. Like, I'm trying to show you. Do you think the word femininity exists?
Yes, but that doesn't
Yes.
mean
Do
all
you
women are
like its
defined by
definition?
femininity.
Do you like its definition?
Yeah, and that definition doesn't mean to be a
Then
woman you have to
then
be
why
feminine.
don't
It
you
just means it's
have this
prescribed.
high level standard? Then what is femininity?
Femininity is just. Do you know what prescribed even means? Like, I don't understand. Do prescribed just means that
I'm
people
asking you,
ascribe
what
it to
is
them? They associate.
femininity? Like, give me the characteristics, give me the attributes.
So it depends on the society, and maybe in Africa it's a certain type of hairstyle, or even in France it could be like the clothes you wear. And in most societies it'd probably be the clothes or the appearance that you have, right?
Mhm.
Right.
Right,
So
but
I'm
so
not.
that
You could
that is not
say people.
consistent.
I'm
That
sorry.
is not consistent throughout. I mean, that's a very vague definition. What
Really? Well,
characteristics? Like,
that's what
what
feminine.
is it? Long hair? Is it short hair? And then, in order for it to be an attribute of women and girls, do all women and girls have to have these? Like,
Okay,
I'm
so
sure you can
right, you're
see
coming
the
around.
dilemma
No,
here.
wait, you're coming. Yeah, that is exactly the dilemma that gender and trans philosophers have issues with when they try to define
Trans
a woman based on. Wait,
philosophers?
Yeah, yeah, I'll get to it. Just one second.
That's a
That
word?
is, you're coming. That is absolutely. Do you know Simone de Beauvoir, Judith Butler, anybody? So you're absolutely
Yeah,
coming
I know
onto
Judith
my
Butler.
path. Right, right. You're coming onto my path and my stance when you say, wait, there's no one
I'm
defined
sorry, you cut
femininity
out.
or
I didn't
masculinity
hear
or
any of
any
that.
trait really that exclude. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, can you
Yeah.
hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, so you're coming onto my path when you say, when you recognize there's no one trait women share subtly, or even logically, really. There's no one trait that all men share across societies and time, even within a society, really. So you're saying how you're realizing there's no way to define man and woman based on femininity or masculinity or really any social trait. That's why that's why I'm led to the biological definition of man and woman. First of all, that is what biologists have defined it to be, and it seems the most coherent, cogent, and logical and applicable. So
I
you
don't
kind of
think,
came onto my argument. That's great.
no, no, not at all. I
No,
think
that's
that
great.
there's,
You recognize there's no one social trait, right? There's no one social trait shared by all women that would make that be a defining, necessary, and sufficient condition to fulfill to be a woman.
then
Therefore, you
femininity
can't
doesn't
base woman off of.
exist.
No, femininity just means a lot of women don't fit femininity, like butch lesbians.
Right,
Now
but
you could
those
argue and
are
say, well, femininity is
attributes
everything.
and characteristics that are given to women and girls. So
Um,
if all women don't have these
oh my
characteristics,
God.
then how can we prescribe them to all women and girls?
Do you see the ambiguity in when you say given to women and girls? By whom? Which
This is a
characteristic?
societal structure, yes.
Right. So if that's why when we say given to them, that doesn't necessarily mean women and girls are defined by it, but it's characteristics associated by it. You do know the definition of the word prescribed or given, right? It means that it doesn't necessarily make you, it doesn't define you, but it is associated with you. It is attributed to you, right?
Right. And so I would say the same for femininity applies to the same construction of woman, is that throughout times and throughout cultures and that throughout societies, so many different things have changed. And there's
Yeah.
so many different variations of woman,
Yeah.
man, masculinity, femininity. I don't think it has to be what a woman is strictly related to your biology, because socially and psychologically, you can align with the other gender. Just
Yeah.
because your outward appearance is male does not mean that psychologically and socially you experience things as a woman or as a man.
Uh, what is it like? First
Like,
of all, I
do
don't
you
even.
think that trans women experience more violence?
Maybe, perhaps some of them do. Yeah. Why? What does that have to do with anything about defining
Well,
what
I
it
would
means to be
just
a
say
woman?
that that aligns them um, with an experience that is that of a woman because they
No, no, no,
experience
no.
sexual.
Not so. A woman who doesn't experience violence is not a woman under that definition. That's ludicrous, right?
I'm saying that they're more, because of their gender, they experience life more like a woman. Because they are a trans woman, they experience higher levels of sexual violence
Okay.
than they were a man. Because in this society, that's how women typically or more often can experience life.
Okay, so here's the issue with what everything you just gave me. You're giving me social traits that might occur with some women, but not all women. Not every woman
Correct.
experiences sexual violence. Not every woman
I
has
agree.
any. So you can't. So do you know what it means to have necessary and insufficient conditions? Do you know what that means?
I disagree with you that I have to point to one thing that all women share because
Um,
all women's experience is different,
then
is
how would
unique.
you define woman? That all definitions have necessary and sufficient conditions. You do realize that,
No, no,
right?
no, like we've
What's
just done
one?
with femininity. Those don't all have necessary and definite
Necessary and sufficient
conditions.
conditions would be the traits
Yes.
that are ascribed to women and girls.
But
Those
what
that
are
is the
these
necessary and
traits?
sufficient.
What are these
Um,
traits?
anything that's ascribed to women and girls, it depends on the society, but that still is necessary and sufficient
Right.
conditions
So
that can be fulfilled.
then there is mobility within that. And I think women
Uh,
can have mobility with that too.
but there's no what that no hold on. You just said that there's no necessary and sufficient conditions. I just said there are, and now you agree with me. So are there or are there not necessary and sufficient conditions for femininity?
Um, okay, maybe you can go into like necessary. I don't know what this philosophical phrase you're telling me. Maybe I'm not understanding. I feel I've explained my position well. That again, it doesn't have to be your biological makeup, your appearance, your chromosomes, when it comes to how you have a relationship with your body, a relationship with other people, and a relationship with the outside
Right.
world.
Well, here's why. Because not out there's when you what does it mean to define something? That means you are ascribing a set of
Again, I
conditions.
don't think it has to meet these black and white rigid criteria.
There's no other word in any language that doesn't have a set of necessary and sufficient conditions. Otherwise,
I
it'd
think there
just
are
be
many
meaningless.
words that do.
Like what? Like what femininity does. Otherwise, the word femininity could mean
The
anything and
word
everything, and that would
femininity
be
means
meaningless.
it means that it means different things in other
It could
cultures.
mean
You
different
said that.
things. Right? It can mean different things, but it still has certain conditions on it. It doesn't mean everything. It just means certain things. Even the fact that you said certain necessitates that there are necessary and sufficient conditions. It doesn't mean everything. It means certain things, which is exactly my point. Right?
Can women be masculine?
Of course, butch lesbians. Of
So
course.
it's not a characteristic completely prescribed to boys and men.
It could be prescribed, but it doesn't mean that it's a defining feature to be a man, right?
Well, that is. These are features of men, correct? And if women
Wait,
possess
wait.
them, how are they features of men?
Yeah, they are okay, so I just said they're not defining features of men. They are features of men that maybe
But if
some do have
women
and some don't.
but if women possess them, how are they defining features of men?
If women, well, they are traits associated with men, right? They are prescribed to men. But just because you might
Right.
have one as
They
a
are ones
woman,
that men have. How can they
mhm,
just be ones that men have if women
because
have them too?
they could be ambiguous. That's why I said who's giving these prescriptions. It could be ambiguous or even false. For example, to say men are less emotional, that's a prescription given to men. But would you agree with that? No, that's false, right? Obviously, men are more violent and they have emotional outbursts of violence. So that is a
Well,
prescription given to
I
men.
mean,
Hold
but
on, that's
you
so.
acknowledge that's not like a genetic thing, right?
But I'm not saying you just said social. You just said any trait, right? So it could be anything.
Right.
Oh no,
But
first of
I'm
all, that is genetic somewhat. There are MAO receptors that could or MAO enzymes that could actually make you more violent, prone to violence and aggression. But no, but that is exactly my point. Sometimes these prescriptions are wrong, but there still are like that's not that. Therefore, it's not a defining feature to be a man. It's just something that's attributed to you.
Right. I'm not saying that you need to be masculine to be a man, but I'm saying
Okay.
the word masculinity is malleable. And it even
Yes.
goes outside to like where women possess those traits too, but they're still considered masculine. So I'm saying woman as as a construction that we see within society, how we socialize, how we have a relationship with our body, and how we experience the world is not just tied to our chromosomes, to our gametes. It's more complex
Uh,
than just your biology.
I would say
Because
that.
let's just say a trans woman um, presents as a cis woman. Do you think her experience will be more aligned with a woman or a man?
It depends on what you mean by experience. Maybe some experiences would be that that is typically associated with women, but not every experience, right?
Right.
It
I don't
depends
think
on what.
women like share every single experience. That's what I'm
Okay,
saying is that
that's the
our
issue when.
construction of our
Mhm.
gender is through our own construction and how we perceive the world and the relationship with our body and our own psychology. What is your sexuality?
I'm straight.
How do we know that?
Uh, that is, I'm attracted to females.
But how would anyone know that?
uh, I don't know if they could truly know that. To know, it depends on what your
Without
definition of
like
the word
no,
"know"
I think
means.
you're gay. Like, can I just tell you you're gay? Like you
You
realize
just
that this
did. You
is
can.
an identity about you that you identify. You tell us your
Well,
sexuality.
hold on. Wait, but that doesn't. I could say I'm straight, and then I could be banging dudes on the side. So that necessarily mean I'm straight just because I identify as that? There's tons of people who try to identify as straight, but
Well, I
they're
think
actually gay,
straight men.
right?
There was many straight men in porn in gay corn.
Exactly. So just
Right.
because
So
I
even
identify
though
a certain
they're
way doesn't
having
mean
sex
I
with
am.
men,
Hold on.
they still
Wait.
identify as straight.
So if I identify as like Asian, does that make me Asian? No. No, because there's
Well,
certain defining factors, there's certain necessary and sufficient conditions I have to fulfill, as with any other word in the world, except for some reason now in the past 10 years, it's women and men that don't have any necessary and sufficient conditions.
no, I mean with the race thing, like race is a phenotypic construction where we're
And
talking about
females are not.
women. That's a social construction.
It's biological. It's very biological.
It's also very social, which is the same reason that you don't wear dresses because this
Asian
affirms
is
your
social
gender
too.
as a man. Where if many men, uh, like men, don't wear dresses because they would feel uncomfortable, they would feel insecure or uncomfortable or less affirmed in their gender because they're wearing what is socially constructed to be female garments.
Okay. I think again,
Is there anything you want to talk about with me? Do you mind talking with my friend Jones?
sure, we could talk real quick. Yeah.
Okay.
Hello, Jones.
Hey, what's up? So we meet again. Hey, can you pull up the
Uh,
definition of bear for me, like the animal?
Bear.
Yeah.
I don't have a laptop. Let me see if I could get
Well,
it.
I that's fine. I can do it for you.
I'll do it. Bear like the animal.
Yeah.
Is this to prove that not every definition is has necessary and sufficient conditions, or
The first one is a verb, carry the weight
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the
or
animal because below
support.
that you'd have to add see more.
Bears are
Just
carnivore mammals of the family Ursidae.
yeah. So the definition of bear in terms of animal, right? Like literally is just a large heavy mammal that walks on the soles of its feet.
is that what it is? Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's a bad definition. Sure.
Yeah. So
Oh
so you
yeah,
understand
Merriam-Webster, a large heavy mammal of America and Eurasia that have long shaggy hair, rudimentary tails,
short
and
Oh,
tails.
plantigrade
wait,
feet
wait. Now that sounds like a better definition. Rudimentary tails
and
is
feed
something that
It just means short tail. You know how many animals have short tails?
not necessarily
and
short. It
feed
means
largely
rudimentary,
on
which meant
fruit, plant matter, and insects as well as on flesh.
okay. So that's a much better definition of the word bear. Not
That could
just
be a dog. That could be a
no,
panda,
not
which
all.
is not actually a bear. Yes, it can.
I don't think there's a large when they mean it's a little bit
A
ambiguous. I
large,
agree.
heavy mammal that walks on the
Yeah.
soles of his feet.
Yeah.
This is according to Oxford Language Dictionary, right?
Sure. Sure.
Right? That walks on the soles of its feet,
So I again, this definition
having
is
thick fur
ambiguous.
and very short tail.
Okay. Okay. So this
A panda
definition
is not a
isn't.
type of bear, actually.
All right. So, is it really? I didn't know
No.
that.
Uh-uh.
I'm just this definition is ambiguous, but you can easily find a biological definition that is very not ambiguous, and it would be you could. That's how
There's no
biologists
biological
classify different
definition.
species.
There's no biological definition of man or woman.
Of
Yeah.
okay. So
Ooh.
I guess you missed that
Yeah.
point. Part.
Ooh. No, I
Wait.
didn't.
So
I've
a
listened the
no
whole
human
time you've been
male.
in here.
What do you mean? There's no
Do you know what
definition of
denote means? Denote means points
yes,
to. Means
right,
points to. Yeah.
right.
So it
Can I
just
talk?
yeah. No, you've talked a lot, bro.
I
Like a
know, but
lot. I've been listening to
now
you
we're
for
having
like
a
a
Yeah,
fucking
conversation.
yeah.
hour.
Let's have a good back and forth.
Yeah.
Jones, what's your question?
Denote means points to.
Yes.
Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to, you know what I'm saying,
That's
be
exactly, yeah.
biologically female. It just means it
Oh, wait, wait,
points to,
wait.
like it means it can align with,
Uh,
presents
that's
as,
that's
presents
not.
as.
Yeah, no, that's not what biologists
Yeah.
mean when they use the word denote. When they mean denote, is that means it means the
What's
body
your
is
degree in?
really? Are we doing ad like this
No, I'm
add
just
to
curious.
appeals to authority?
No, I'm just
Why? Why?
I'm just
Wait,
curious.
why does that matter? Why does that matter at all?
Okay, what? Because you're speaking as if you know what I'm saying you are
No,
in fact a
these are
biologist.
yeah, these are published scientific papers. Have you read one? There's
Yeah, and
published scientific papers
no,
and
great. And
tons of
scientists don't
encyclopedias.
agree with you.
No, 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 no. There's I could pull up three sources right now. If you go to first of all, and don't wait, just let me finish Wikipedia and then click through to the three published peer-reviewed sources of what it means to be male. They will tell you denote the ability to produce smaller gametes. That is what male means. There. You just said there's no biological definition of the words male. You're wrong.
I didn't say that.
No,
I said
he
there's no
said man
biological
and woman.
definition of man and woman.
Oh, man and woman. Okay, so man would be, well, man is based in biology, which is what I said. It has biological roots because of the word male and even adult and human. Actually, it is pretty based in biology.
Denotes
So
in terms of biological definition means of or relating to.
when they mean denoting the ability to express or to produce smaller gametes, that means when the organism is healthy and fully functioning, they will produce sperm.
Pull that definition up and put it on the screen. That says it
Okay.
denotes means that
I don't,
specifically. I
again,
know I'm correct. Artemis, I have a bachelor's in biology.
wait, I'm sorry. What's your point?
I
You're
said pull
saying
up that
denotes.
definition, pull up that biological definition and put it on the screen if you don't mind.
Okay, I don't have my computer on me, but if you go,
Wait,
if somebody,
I'll
pull
give
up
you a
what?
second to pause. The
yeah, if you
definition
Pull
of
up
go,
what?
denotes according to
yeah, if you
biology,
go
and
to,
then put it on the screen.
I believe if you go,
What specifically?
Denotes, right? The
Like, well,
as a biological
what?
definition.
I'm sorry, what
oh,
sort, like, what biological source do you want?
I know, I don't know what you're
Denotes
getting
in
at.
terms of biology, like so he's saying scientifically denotes means something different, like in terms of biology, right? And it doesn't actually.
Have
And
you
so that's
read
why I'm
any
asking.
papers?
Yeah,
Like
tons
that's
of
what
them.
it means. Then you would know that what it means is that
So
some people have injuries, some due to age, some people stop producing, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they are not no longer males or they are not males at all. It just means that they have some abnormality that precludes them from the ordinary and healthy function of producing sperm. That's all that means. That's what
so
denote means.
it means of or relating to in terms of biology. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be healthy or any of
Oh,
things of
of
that
so
nature. That's
denoting the
something that you
ability,
create
so
to
of the ability, so of the
of the
function
ability
to produce
or
them,
relating to. So it
relating to
means it
the
can
ability.
yeah, so it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have those functions, right? It just means
That's
that you can.
exactly what I said. Now we're on the
Yeah.
same page. We agree. Great.
Okay, so you can denote, you know what I'm saying, female characteristics without having been born chromosomally female or having an express.
Would you do that by getting eggs implanted? Like, I don't know what that means. How would you denote that ability?
If you have similar characteristics of like you look like right, like if I were to
That's not
look
what that
at
means.
that, but it can't, and that's what I'm trying to tell you.
If you're
But
taking a
aside from
broad
that,
sociological view and you're like absolutely destroying the word denote and what it means in this sense, sure. But if you read any sort of
but I'm
biological
not.
paper or
And
journal, that's not what denote means
and
at
that's
all. Come
also
on.
why, right? That's also why definitions are, and we've had this conversation a million times. And this conversation is had across this app on a regular basis. The
Yeah.
definitions are descriptive and not prescriptive, right? There's
Okay.
no
So
objective.
what is it? Oh, right, right. So that's
Okay, why,
my
bro? Like you asked me,
issue is.
I've actually been allowing you to speak now, and now you keep cutting me off.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
So I was
Go ahead.
literally still talking. So we
Okay,
know
go
that
ahead, John.
All right, go.
Yeah, so we know there's no objective there's no objective definitions. Like no definition is an objective fact. It's just how we colloquially use or understand a word, right? Aside from
Sure,
that, this
sure.
idea of man and woman, right, is relatively a new concept. Like the human, how long has the human race been around, Armand?
Uh, what is it like? The modern species of Homo sapiens isn't
Homo
like
sapien,
less than
correct?
100,000. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, that's very incorrect.
How
Jesus Christ.
long?
So between 250 and 300,000 years. So about
Oh,
between
okay, I
200
was
and
off by
300,000
100.
years.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
great. I was
Well,
off by like
almost
a factor
probably
of two.
like almost 200,000 years. That's a long time. So with that being said, right?
Nice.
With that being said, for the vast majority of human history, we did not have a gender binary. That's a concept that we created.
We had a sex binary.
What's that? No, we didn't even have a sex
Yeah.
binary because sex isn't
I
binary.
disagree with that too. Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
go
sex
ahead.
is not even binary.
Wait. There's two gametes. Larger gametes, smaller gametes, sperm, eggs.
But we've
That
already
is
agreed that, you know what I'm saying, that can also not be the case.
what's the third gamete? There's only two gametes in anisogamous reproducing species. You should know this, right? Biology,
That's
right?
not okay.
In terms of sex gametes, sure, there can be a binary, but in terms of sex, no, because when we look at sex characteristics, I don't think we just
Okay, you
evaluate
just
them based on
conflated.
gametes. We
You
use
just
five
conflated.
different char-
Yeah, we use 5 different characteristics.
we use
For
five
humans,
different characteristics of sex, which
So
means that
you
it's
just
bimodal because there can be a variation of these characteristics between two extremes.
Okay, so you conflated, you just said sex is not binary, but then you said sex characteristics. Two very different things, two extremely,
I
actually,
bet
But
gametes. Sure,
yeah,
gametes can be binary because there are two.
but gametes are what define sex. And then you said sex
Gametes
characteristics,
do
which are
not
two
define
completely different
sex,
things.
which you have
Hold on,
acknowledged.
pull up
I
the
got
definition of the word sex, the
I
biological
got you.
definition of the word
So
sex.
if you look up, I can literally tell you, gametes cannot be used to create a sex binary in human because no gametes can be present alongside with ambiguous or mixed
Okay, so
gonadal tissue. When this
yeah,
happens, other sex markers have to be considered, none of which are binary.
the sex markers aren't sex itself. You do realize
None of
that?
which are binary.
Wait, well, you realize
Gametes
sex markers
cannot
are
be
not sex,
used to
right?
create a sex binary in human because no gametes can be present along with ambiguous or mixed gonadal tissue.
So
When
you
this
know that
happens,
sex.
other sex markers have to be considered, none of which are binary.
So answer my question. You do realize sex markers is not the same thing as sex, right?
Gametes cannot be used to create a sex
Okay,
binary in
just
humans
not
because
engaging.
no gametes can
Not
be
So
engaging.
wait.
present along with ambiguous or mixed gonadal tissue.
If sex is just gametes, what
Yeah, which it is.
classification do you put someone in with no gametes?
Yeah. So if they're like an asexually reproducing species, they'd actually have no gametes and they would be neither male nor female. If they are true hermaphrodite, like some garden snails are, or other species, they'd actually be both male and female at the same time.
Then it's not a binary.
No.
If
Binary. I know you.
if there's a classification of none, that's a third
Right.
classification.
Correct.
No. So people get this confused all the time. If you look up the definition of the word binary, it actually just means a system composed or consisting of two things or properties. That is still composed of two things or properties. You're thinking of binary opposition, which is a type of binary system in which there are only two classifications or two options. But binary, even if you have both gametes or none gametes, that's technically 4 options. It's still a system comprised of two things, two gametes. There's no third
But
gamete.
no gametes can be present. You can have no gametes.
That's an option, but it's still binary because it's a system comprised of two gametes or two things. If you look at, again, the definition of the word binary is just a system comprised of two things. If you're going to say that sex is not binary, that means there's a third thing. What is this third gamete? There's no third gamete, at least in anisogamy species. Right?
So there is no gametes present, right? Along with ambiguous gonadal tissue, which I've already explained.
That's not sex. That's not sex, though. You
but
could say
is.
that's sex
in
markers.
Humans, it is.
No, you could say that sex markers or sex characteristics. That's not sex. If you look at the definition of the word sex,
gametes don't create a sex binary, and I just explained why.
You didn't explain compellingly or logically at all.
Because no gametes can be present, along with ambiguous gonadal tissue.
Okay.
And
so
if that is your measure, of how sex is determined, then it literally does not create a binary because no gametes can be present.
So what is the definition of the word binary? What does that mean?
You've already said it.
Right. Comprised of two things or properties. Yes, you can have both properties. You can have both properties, both male and female, and you can have none of the properties. But there's still only two properties: male gametes, female gametes.
But you are classifying people into the category of male or female. So someone without sex, which would be gametes by your definition.
No, not
what
necessarily
classification do they have?
Yeah, again, I didn't say gametes means your sex. It can, but
You
also
did.
it's
Just
denoting
did.
the
Are you
ability.
kidding
Hold on,
me?
hold on. No, we went over this. Denoting the ability to produce. So if you get too old and you don't produce any more eggs, or you don't have any eggs due to injury or malformation, that still means you're female, because if you don't, at least in humans, if you don't have a expression on the SRY gene, you'd still be a female. You're still of or denoting the ability to produce eggs because you have ovarian tissue, or even if you don't have ovarian tissue, you have
But
some
you don't
reproductive
have them.
organs.
You can
No,
have
not necessarily.
ovotestes. You can have ovotestes as well. Like
Again,
intersex people can
that's
exist with
mhm.
both male and female gonadal tissue,
Again, that
sometimes
doesn't
called
matter. It
ovotestes.
doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
That's not. No,
Like
because
literally,
male and no.
literally,
I'll tell
you
you
are
why.
ignoring the
No,
science.
no.
To,
Science
to,
says that in men and women, sorry, in humans, sex is determined by the SRY gene, the activation of the Y chromosome on the SRY
but
gene,
you
right?
just said it was determined by the production of gametes, large or
Well,
small
that's
gametes.
across all species. That's across all species. Not, but
Some
now
people
we're
don't
just
have
talking
an
about
expressed
humans
SRY
specifically.
gene at all.
Then they're not females. Then they're
Ovotestes
not.
is
I mean,
not
sorry, they're
true
not males. Sorry, they're
hermaphrodite.
not
There's no such
males.
thing as true hermaphrodite in humans.
No, wait. I don't know if you just realized what you just said. You just said some people don't have an expression of the SRY gene. Of course, that is a female. That's an adult
Yeah, correct.
female. Or that's a human female, right?
Correct.
Those are, you just described all females.
There's,
Okay, so great. So now there's
but
people
there,
with an SRY gene expression, which is male, or they don't have an SRY
you're
gene expression, and that is
absolutely
female.
right, Artemis. You can.
Right.
The SRY gene can jump to the C chromosome. So the biological markers of human sex include chromosomes, gonads, hormones, secondary
It's not
sex
sex. It's
characteristics,
not sex.
external genitalia, internal genitalia,
That's not
gametes,
sex.
gene expression, brain structure, hormone receptor
You just said
sensitivity.
sex markers. You said sex markers. That's not sex.
Yeah, those are the biological markers of human sex.
Right, but that's
Those are
not
the
sex.
critical markers of
Right, that's not
biological
sex.
sex.
Sure, that's not sex though,
But that's
right?
what science says,
Wait,
not what you
Is
say.
that
That's what
sex?
science says.
No. Science doesn't say sex is that. Science says, or biologists say sex is
Science
literally
says
just the
no.
gametes. That's all it
This
says.
is what biology says. Biology says the biological markers of human sex include chromosomes, gonads, hormones,
I know you read
secondary
the
sex
list.
characteristics,
You read the list.
external
I
genitalia,
understand.
internal genitalia,
So is
gametes,
that
gene
sex?
expression, brain structure, hormone receptor sensitivity. Yes, that is what classifies sex.
That is typically associated with sex.
And
That's why they call them
oh my
sex
God.
markers. That's why they call them sex markers. But that
And
is
that's how
not
you
sex.
determine sex.
Not necessarily. Not that's not the necessary and sufficient conditions to be one sex or the other. That is
That's why
just
it's
the
not a
markers
binary.
of sex.
That's why it's
Oh,
not a
no,
binary.
okay, you're not under. There's. I don't know if
No,
I could say
you don't
anything that will make you
understand.
understand. I don't think you get it.
No, you don't understand.
You're saying markers
Because
of
you
sex.
don't
That is
actually
not
study
sex
these things.
itself.
Because you've learned the talking points doesn't make
It's
you
not
an
a talking
expert.
point. Look up the definition.
This is what we call Dunning-Kruger. And I've already explained for the vast majority of human
Oh wow.
history, male and female, you know what I'm saying, was used to
Waffling.
identify, male and female was used to identify, you know what I'm saying, the different sexes and also the different genders, but there was also other genders or gender fluidity for the vast majority of human history.
Okay, I don't think we're making progress here. If you're gonna just say sex
Yes,
markers are sex, there's
because you're
obviously
not
an extra word then, the word marker,
be-
because it's not
because you're
sex.
feigning intelligence.
Okay, that's if you look up the definition of this word sex, it is literally just the gametes or denoting the ability to produce one or the other gametes.
This third or undefined possibility, right, eliminates the possibility for binary sex classification, and that's
Again, so
what you don't
then you're not
understand.
then you're not engaging with the definition of the word binary, and I told it to you multiple times. You could look it up
Definitions
again.
are descriptive, not prescriptive.
So
We
so
started
you
with
have
that.
your own colloquial. So you're appealing to
We started with
colloquialism.
that. No, we're
So you're
looking at
appealing
it
to
from a biological
colloquialism.
standpoint. From a
So
biological standpoint, I've explained to you how sex is determined.
So
If
you're
you don't
appealing
want
to
to accept it, that's
colloquialism.
fine.
Mhm.
No, if you don't want to accept it, that's fine. That just means that you don't accept the science.
No. That's not how sex is determined. Those are the markers typically associated with sex, but that's not the necessary and sufficient conditions to be of one sex or
It
the
is.
other.
They are.
Okay. I mean, you're just
And that's
wrong.
why it's not a
Everybody, I
binary.
encourage you to look up the definition of the word sex and how it's expressed in
Definitions are
males and
descriptive,
females.
not prescriptive.
Oh my gosh. Well, you're using a lot of definitions and you don't seem to have an issue with that.
No,
So
I said
I'd
how
say
we
look up
determine
the
from a
definition.
biological standpoint. I haven't used any definitions. That's your
Yeah.
thing.
Okay. Just
You keep
not
saying
under.
the
Okay.
definition of, and I keep telling
Yeah.
you
That's
definitions
you
are
are.
descriptive, not prescriptive. I've
But you're
explained to you
using
how we determine
classification.
sex in human
Hold
beings.
on. If definitions are prescriptive, then classifications must be prescriptive too. And you're using classifications all the time. You just said it. Sex markers are what
Well,
defines
here's the
sex,
thing, right? Here's the thing about science, right?
right?
It's ever changing. And if you don't believe in the science, you can actually
Okay.
go back and you can do the work or the study
Just
yourself and see if you come up with the same
okay.
results.
Not
That's the
getting
beauty of
anywhere.
science. That's the beauty
Yeah,
of
not
science.
getting
Yeah, we're not
so
getting anywhere because this conversation has been over for a long time.
no.
You're not
So I'll
getting to
just
where you want to
encourage the
be.
audience. I'll just encourage the audience and you to read what the definition of the word sex
Nobody is
is
going
and
to
how it's
nobody's going
expressed.
to decide on your biased
Okay.
view.
Not mine, not mine. It's literally any source, almost any source. I'm
No,
sure
it's
there's some
not any
bad sources
source.
out there.
No, it's
It's
not any
bad.
source. I
You're
just
right. You're
gave
right.
you
There's
the
bad sources out
biological
there. That ones
information.
that you're
I
but
just gave you the
there's
biological information.
markers, there's
I
characteristics.
am curious what source you're using. I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
I don't know. Is it
Type
Armand?
Armand, yes. So if you
Yeah.
type in to Wikipedia, don't get triggered yet, just Wikipedia
Yeah,
and male.
Wikipedia.
Wait, see, triggered. I said don't get triggered. Just wait. If you
He
know
wants you to check
Wikipedia,
Wikipedia. Hey, should we
Don't
check
don't
Urban
don't
Dictionary? Should we
yeah,
check
yeah.
don't
Urban
wait.
Dictionary
Don't
soon?
Just wait
freaking
one
out.
second.
Just freaking out. Yeah. So if you type in the Wikipedia male, it does a good job of
Wait, so
compiling
I'm typing in
clinical.
male.
Yeah, male wiki or male Wikipedia. It should be the male page. It does a great job of compiling, wait for it, Jones, wait for it, Jones, academic sources that are published in peer-reviewed journals. That's what it does a great job of. It has 3 citations for the definition that it uses for male, one of which says denoting. It doesn't have to say denoting because when biologists say a defining characteristic of something, they usually
Check
they usually
Discord,
mean a
Kenzie.
theological sense.
I just sent you from like actual biological studies. I just sent you an actual paper that explains all of this.
An actual paper.
I,
You'll find
I,
actual papers in the Wikipedia if you actually click through.
Okay,
those of
so
us that
I'm
went to
bringing
college and
up
earned
both
degrees don't use Wikipedia.
human.
I just don't know how this has to do with anything that, no matter what definition of the word woman you use, it does not follow that all trans women are women. Therefore, I do not believe all trans women are women. That's my whole argument.
Actually care about your beliefs.
Uh,
We're gonna stick to
I
the
think
science.
Kenzie did. Kenzie had me up here for a while now. It's been a while.
No, because I mean, again, you think that the word woman is just a biological reference to human females.
Yes, I do.
Um,
I
we're
think that's
no,
only logical.
right, but you're not also taking in like the human elements of being a woman, which I would argue would be social and
You're saying,
psychological.
okay, okay. Well, if you want to define it that way, you're going to have a hard time finding a single defining feature that is socially shared among all women. That's the issue. It prevents.
I don't think I have to. Just like when we
Wait,
talked, like I don't
then
want
why
to
are
get
you
back into it because we've
but
gone
you
in
just said you're
circles and
defining
circles, and
it.
I
But you just said you're defining it that way. So if
I
you're
just
going to
sent you
define it
two
that
right.
way,
different
So
scientific papers.
you can have a construction of something that not every single person meets the same criteria. There can be different parts of the criteria that people meet.
so there has to be some necessary and sufficient condition
I
for the.
disagree.
Oh, I think you're saying it, but you don't realize that you're saying when you say people meet certain aspects
You don't
of the
realize.
definition. Yeah, yeah. No, I'm just well
I mean,
when you say
I could just say that it's their psychology is feminine.
not all.
Just like
So
we have, like when I asked you about what your sexuality is, and you even said I'm straight, and then we went into the example of straight men having sex with men in gay porn, that still makes them straight, even though they're having sex with men. So how can we really determine what is straight, what is gay,
yeah.
based
Well, the
other than
definition.
anyone's own testimony of their sexuality? Your
Well, that's easy.
sexuality is a part of your
Mhm.
psychology, just like your gender is.
It's easy to determine. You just look up the definition of what it means to be gay, and you see if it applies to this particular person you're talking about. It's
Here we go
very
What
with
simple.
what
definitions
definition?
again.
What
I know
definition?
you
What's the
don't like
definition
definition.
of gay?
I would be attracted to the same sex, would it not?
I don't know. I'm asking you.
I'm pretty sure last time I looked it up. I look it up often. Don't worry.
So
Good one, right?
He
attractive,
needs to
like
check to see if
attractive
he's
in
gay
what
or not.
sense? Like
Yeah,
I'm.
I just thought that was.
I think women are very attractive, but I'm not gay.
I mean, attracted. Yeah, so attracted probably means like sexually attracted or romantically attracted, right?
Well, how do we
I mean,
know?
I think men are sexually attracted to women, but not necessarily like romantically, and a lot of them say they're straight.
Okay,
Why
so I guess you
gametes
could
do
say
not create a sex
non-platonically attracted.
binary. Sometimes people who believe in a sex binary called binarism will say gametes create a sex binary.
Yes,
In humans, gametes are the reproductive cells which can be egg, sperm, and undefined. While this is a common misunderstanding, it misses two major points. First, that no gametes can be present along with ambiguous gonadal tissue. Oh, so this is what you were reading, Jones. Okay.
true. That's absolutely true. But that doesn't negate my definition
Right.
of the word
So
woman.
if you don't have gametes, then you are using other things to determine someone's sex,
Right.
correct?
Namely, the lack of an SRY gene that's expressed. Yeah, that is how biologists have classified it. Yep.
Well, no, because people, like I gave you that example with
Of the
someone
male.
who has Swyer syndrome, which you said classifies them as female,
Well,
because there's not an
right.
expression of the SRY gene, yet they impregnated someone, which would obviously mean they have small gametes.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't understand that sex is not a binary. I knew it.
Well, I mean, to his defense, he was on here for a long time. Like that
Yeah,
was
but
like I'm exhausted from that conversation. All
I knew he was gonna
right.
bounce. Like, yo,
Well,
that
thank
was
you, Jones. I
yeah,
appreciate you.
yeah, like that.
I needed a
That should
break.
have been an easy. Yeah, he ran because that was an easy dub. Like it was over a long time ago. A long time ago, the whole conversation was over.
I'm so fucking cute, bitch.